What is the meaning of life? Why do we have to suffer? And why do we move forward? These are the questions that crossed my mind after reading The Horizon, a 21-chapter story set in a post-apocalyptic world ravaged by war. The manhwa doesn't hold back in addressing the darkest parts of humanity. Within each of its panels, I can only describe it as something as beautifully haunting. The premise of this story is simple. We follow a young boy who walks on a lonely road after his mother's death. Filled with anguish, he pushes himself forward until one morning he meets a girl just like him. Together, they set foot on a journey towards the horizon. What sets this manhwa apart from the rest is how strong its messages are, and one of the most prominent ideas it conveys is suffering and moving forward. I remember the quote of Haruki Murakami, "Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional," which is true to some extent if we think about it. If it's going to hurt, you have the choice whether you're going to suffer or not. But for the sake of this video, let's define suffering for now as the state of undergoing pain, distress, or hardship, or an experience or be subjected to something bad or unpleasant. Going back through the manhwa, right from the start, it's unapologetically dark. As we follow their journey, it uncovers to us the reality they have to live in. Two kids trying to survive in this very tragic world. We see both our main characters run into other people along the way and the challenges they have to face. And this over time will make them form their own perspective of the world. What they go through though is a lot of suffering, as it confronts some of the most painful truths of human existence. It has a heavy atmosphere that you can't easily shake off once you start immersing yourself through these illustrations. The author, Jung Ji-hoon, really expressed all the emotions with just the art alone. I don't want to call it this way, but this one is really effing deep. If you are familiar with Oyasumi Punpun, The Horizon has some similarities to it, with its very dark story, philosophical way of storytelling, and discussion of the unfiltered reality. As the manhwa tries to look at the different ways we try to overcome suffering, every aspect of the story highlights these ideas and makes you think to yourself how we will confront these harsh truths when it happens to us. Like losing your friends or your loved ones, and at the end, even yourself. As brutal as that may be, that is the essence of life, where it lies between its beauty and fragility. It is inevitable, but it's also the part that defines life. In this wide and vast world, as sad or lonely we may feel, or how small or insignificant we may be, we have to keep moving forward. It hurts when you are slapped with these harsh realities, and we can even be bitter at times about it. But eventually, everything ends, and we must accept that. Life is really just unforgiving, like the tragic story this manhwa showed. And going back to what I said in the beginning, defining suffering is difficult, as it sometimes leads to moral injustice. Not all suffering is the same, and it is also unfair to deny the suffering of others. We live in a world where we have been made to suffer and sometimes inflict suffering on each other. It's also the same thing with defining life. Each of us has our own perspective and philosophies. Some may look at this manhwa in a nihilistic way, meaning rejecting all religious and moral principles in the belief that life is meaningless. But I am not here to argue about those definitions. I'm just here to deliver a message this 21-chapter manhwa conveyed to me. And that is, if we embrace the truth, we can hopefully step more fully into life.